Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Right as Rain, circling Seattle Sports' weekly Seattle Rain FC show. It's just me again. Do not have for this episode. Couldn't get the scheduling figured out this week. That's fine. It's an interesting week to sort of recap. We've got the Rain's uh, scoreless draw against San Diego, which we'll talk about from the past weekend. I don't believe we got to the Emily Mason extension um, from the 27th. I don't believe we did that. So we'll talk about that. And then additionally, uh, we've got the we've got sorry, Phoebe McClernon joined the show. We really had a fun chat with Phoebe. For a chat, we'll be talking about um, you know, um, yeah, you'll get your chance to hear from her. Sorry, I had to get to something there. And then this morning, just this morning, we got news that midfielder Jisoo Yoon got loaned to Birmingham City, which I'm a little confused about. But we'll go over here. Start with the loan for Emily Mason came back on the 27th of the month. The Reign announced on that Wednesday, the 27th, that they'd signed rookie mid defender, sorry, Emily Mason to a 1 year contract extension through the 2026 season with a mutual option for 27. Um, Mason, along with Manny Darlene, were the first college signings for the Reign since the NWSL draft went away. So that was really fun to see. Uh, you know, those signings. It was interesting to see how the Rain were going to be able to handle not having the draft ready. Um, you figure they would adjust. But Emily Mason's been interesting to me. She'd come in and been a really strong defensive substitute throughout the course of the year. Um, I think um she hasn't played significant minutes in a while, I don't think. I think earlier into the season she was actually getting some starts, which was kind of fun to see. So that was really cool. Excuse me. Let's see. Yeah, not a ton of significant minutes dating back to May. Got to start against North Carolina. That's what I was thinking of. Played 61 minutes against Angel City, played a half against Bay FC, and then kind of sporadic 18 minutes against Utah, 10 against San Diego back in June, 15 against Louisville. So, yeah, come in and, kind of plays the defensive game to close things out. Mason in a team release said, I'm excited to continue my career with the Reign. This first season has provided me with the opportunity to grow, learn, and be consistent every time I step on the field. It has given me amazing friendships with my teammates that I'm so lucky to have. I'm grateful for the trust the club and coaching staff have shown in me, and I'm motivated to push my game forward and make a positive impact. Um, yeah, I got that one start. Did have a pretty nice touch in the team's first goal. I believe that was the Jess Fishlock 200 games goal. Um, talking to we have a fan on Twitter, Sarah, who always talks to me about the rain stuff. Is basically well, we were talking about something last night, and this morning she goes, "Why the fuck did we put G on loan?" No, we'll figure that out. But with Emily, yeah, she's seen her limits kind of limited, since the club's kind of gone to this 3-5-2. Haven't been in the five back for a while. It's interesting. She's kind of played a few different positions throughout the course of the year. She's played a wing back a little bit, played some fullback, played some center back. So they've really moved her along the back line, which has been fun to see. But largely her role has been to help close games out defensively. It's interesting at the time, I think when we put this out about her extension, um, she was tied for first in the league interceptions per 90 at 3.3, um, and blocks per 90 at 1.4 in her, I think at the time it was 249 minutes, if I look at this correctly. So that's pretty cool. Um, it is interesting, whenever a press release goes out to see the sort of wording that's used. General Manager Leslie Galmore said in the press release about Emily Mason's extension, "We're ecstatic that Emily Mason will continue her career here in Seattle. Emily has shown incredible growth and consistency as a defender. We're confident in her future we're confident her future is extremely bright." So she spent some time with the U.S. Youth National Team. Um, she's 22 years old currently, and this year she was selected to the Futures Camp for the U.S. Women's National Team on the 8th of January, the same day that she was signed to the club, actually. Her selection, you know, followed up a pretty decent youth international career, including gold medals, 2022 CONCACAF U20 Championship, 2022 SUD Ladies Cup, sorry, and appearances at the U20 World Cup back in 2022. So lots going on in 2022 for Emily Mason. Um, U20 squad in 2020, which was and Laura Harvey had some involvement in that. That's right. So kind of interesting to see how that's, come along that relationship there. I was over at Rutgers, started 72 of 82 matches during her collegiate career, recording 6 goals and 7 assists, typically a center back, uh, but did play a little bit out on the right early into the career and at times during her time or since with the USC's national team. So she's an interesting defender. It's been interesting to see, the Reign's defensive depth through the course of the year. And, we'll talk about that with Phoebe in a minute, but let's get to this draw against the Wave. It was a big one. This was a big one as we move on from the Emily Mason extension, go on to the San Diego Wave match for the Reign here, the second time that they faced the Wave this year. A battle of two West Coast clubs and a battle, that was, it's still um 3 points separate them, but this was about the time of sixth place and third place in the league table. Um, and thought the Reign could move over them, but this played to a pretty tight draw. Pretty. This is that stretch that Bella and I are talking about that will be pretty crucial down as we finish out the season. Because as we've mentioned, the Reign will play a number of top teams. They play the Spirit this upcoming week. They'll play Kansas City in a few matches, uh, North Carolina, so they're pretty big. Neither team was really able to kind of get in front and make a differentiator here. Um, so like, the Reign had a few dangerous chances in the first half that if they put away, they win this game, and that's it. But they really weren't able to capitalize on that. And that was mostly what Laura Harvey, talked about in the post-match press conferences. We had those moments and we weren't able to convert them. The stats kind of tell you, it was largely close. San Diego played with possession a lot of the time, but it was usually within their own half. They did get some dangerous looks here and there, some ones that made you, but nothing too dangerously on target. Both teams credited with one big chance. The Reign had 5 shots on target to San Diego's 4. Um, I think the one big thing that stuck out to me was that San Diego had 6 corners compared to just 2 for Seattle. So the Reign defense is a big job in this one, and that's largely, you know, what I take from this one is being able to see the Reign go in here and lock things down against one of the top teams in the league this year, and one of the top teams in the league since they came into the league in the NWSL. That is something that was happy. There were some flashes, and some tense moments, but ultimately nothing. Just one where I think you'll be fine with the draw. Um, but you really had the dangerous chances early on, um, into the opening. Like there's a chance in the 8th minute, just Fishlock Henry forced a big save out of Sheridan. I think in the 23rd minute, Henry Adamas was trying to get something going. So that was kind of after that. San Diego turned the tide a bit, um, and started to hold on to things, but Seattle had some of those chances early. It was just really nice to see the defense really lock things down. Claudia didn't have too much to do in this one, but she was able to do her job when she was called upon. Um, you know, the Wave were just kind of looking for any area of weakness to look at and attack, and they didn't really find that. They hardly got clear shooting angles, which was nice. Always make you a little bit worried, right? Um, so that was really nice to see that defense kind of solidify. Phoebe McClernon's back ready to go fully. Who we'll talk to in a minute. Jordan Bug looks a little bit more back to herself. Um, and we continue to get Sofia Huerta back. That's good. Continue to get the points. That's nice to see. Go back to the club's um, fixtures here. You do have points in your last three. The draw in Chicago against Chicago, which should have been a win, I know. Uh, the draw against Houston, and then now this draw. So, in your last two for your last eight, you've got a point in seven of your last eight. So that's pretty good. Um, you're 6 points clear of the playoff line, a point shy of home field advantage in the first round of the playoffs, just behind Orlando, actually, which is pretty funny. Didn't think Orlando would be down at this point. Um, but you'd really like to see the first half chances taken advantage of. We'd seen the Reign have better offensive outputs, in that Chicago match. They did score two against Portland. They scored two against Kansas City. You go four against Utah, but that's Utah. They had that stretch of multi-goal games. Two against Washington. Nope, sorry. Two against San Diego in June, two against Chicago, four against Utah, two against Angel City, two against Portland, three against Chicago, Mhm. But if it means your defense is back, I guess that's fine. You'll want to just tighten that up going forward. Um, so mm, 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 mm. Interesting comments about the large crowd because it was a 10,000, I believe 10,004 was the attendance we got. Um, and someone says, super large crowd last night. I did not see or feel the fight from the team. Disagree with that. Um, disagree with that. But yeah, no, this is interesting to see where the Reign are currently. Yeah, fifth in the table, a point behind Orlando, 3 points behind San Diego for third, 5 points behind Washington for second. Don't know if they'll get there. But third is certainly possible. You'd have to get past Orlando first, but so before we keep going, we're gonna take a pause here and throw you to our interview with Phoebe from this week. So here is that. As she said in her own words, we're both in our Eagles green here. I will take that. I feel like this is a little bit of a lighter green, but anyway.
It looks
Um,
Kelly to me.
Welcome back to Right as Rain. I'm here with Phoebe McClernon, defender for your Seattle Reign, number 21, if I remember correctly. I'm like very good at numbers usually. Um, Wanted to sit down with Phoebe to talk a little bit about her journey here because, as I mentioned to her before we started off camera here, head coach Laura Harvey mentioned some growth points after the Houston match, and I was like, hey, yeah, it's been a lot of fun watching Phoebe grow over the course of your now fourth year here in Seattle. So it's like, hey, let's talk about that. So, Phoebe, first of all, before anything else, because as someone who also played as a defender, I know it's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. There's a lot of pressure that can be on you. How in the world did you start playing as a defender? Because every kid, I'm sure, they want to score goals, they want to be, whatever. How did you get into this where it's like, yeah, I'm really good at this and I can do this at the professional level?
So I'm the youngest of five kids. I have two brothers and two sisters. And my oldest sister, Farrell, played soccer the most competitively out of everybody else. Everybody was in sports, but she was a soccer player for sure. Went on to play at Boston University. And she was a forward. And I think like growing up, all of my siblings had this urge to like make ourselves independent and unique from each other just because there were so many of us. So when I got into soccer, I think I was just drawn to the opposite of what she was. Like I loved the sport because I watched her play so much, but I didn't want to be a forward because I didn't want to be compared to Farrell. I wanted to be my own player and I don't know, I guess create my own identity. And then my brothers helped with that too because they would make me physical, you know, being the youngest.
Well, that at least reminds me of a quote that Laura had, and I think in your first few years in here in Seattle, Bella Munson and I, Bella with the Equalizer, and I always think about it. Is Laura, I think at some point said that one loves a tackle or something along those lines. I was like, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually when you say that. Um, so then I'm curious, just I know this is going to be a big jump from, oh, how'd you start playing defense to this, but how would you reflect on your journey, since being traded here? Because obviously 4 years is a lot of time. A lot can happen over the course of a regular season in of itself, obviously in this league.
Yeah.
Yeah, how would you just sort of uh describe that journey yourself, whether it's personally, because obviously the Pacific Northwest is a different place than where you came from, and even went to college at. Uh, you know, from, maybe not starting as much to someone who, I believe you were at the Portland match this year, if I remember correctly. And, Laura, and at least some of us, at least on the media side of things, were like, it's very noticeable when Phoebe is out. Obviously, it's tough, but yeah, just your growth, however you see that, since the trade here.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are like a few intangibles about me that I have latched on to anchor my identity through my soccer career. Like most notably my grittiness and my willingness to work hard. And I think off the field pressures when I got to the professional level started to nullify those things. So like if I had issues off the field in my personal life that I wasn't dealing with because I'm a very avoidant person with my problems. I don't like to admit that I have them and I don't like to ask for help. Um, when those things started to pile up in my life, I was no longer able to just like put my head down and work through it. I
Mm.
couldn't just run through the wall. You know what I mean? Um, and being here and being away from family and like being on my own really forced me into a position where I had to figure out how to mature in my emotional capacity as an adult. Um, and I think that maturation off the field has made me an exponentially better teammate, an exponentially better soccer player, person, friend, whatever you want to name it. Um, and I think that's probably my biggest takeaway from my journey at Rain.
So that, you mentioned the maturation as a teammate part. Just what has it been like? Because I'm sure this person has helped you in parts, as well as other teammates as well. But having Lou around, it seems like different people we speak with all the time. Like I remember, I think during the 23 season, asking there was some question about culture because I'm a sucker for that. I'm sure with Eagles, a good team that has culture will go far.
Yeah.
Um, but hearing about Lou, oh, it was Veronica who got emotional talking about how much she loved this team and the culture that's been built here, at least on the defensive side of the ball. Just what has Lou been like as a teammate, as a person? Because obviously we only see so much of it, but we hear about it in how the culture is built. I know it again, it's Jess, it's a few other people, but on this defensive side of the ball with Lou, what that's been like being her teammate these last 4 seasons.
Um, I think like the thing that's special about Lou, and you could say a lot, but she just has no arrogance. Like there's no ounce of elitism despite her like numerous accolades that you could attach to her name and like the prowess that she holds on the field and who she is as a soccer player. You would never know as like a rookie coming onto the team that she is this icon of the NWSL. She has been in the league its entire span and she has left her mark on the league every single year with greater and greater degrees. And she walks into the locker room and she treats everybody like they are her best friend and like they deserve to be there. Um, and she just hasn't, she makes no assumptions. She's just not arrogant. She's so welcoming, so warm. If I'm ever struggling and I feel like it's a stupid reason to be struggling, I'm never scared to go ask Lou because I know she's not judging me. She just wants us to be the best team that we can be. And I think having that person as a leader in this club is invaluable. Like it doesn't really get better than her. I've been on teams where you have the person who like has that leader archetype but like doesn't really allow that to translate to other people on the team. And Lou has a really special way of being able to bring everybody in and make it a team-oriented goal.
That, yeah, that all sounds like it makes sense. I mean, just everything you hear from Lou, and expect like, working with Lou, obviously, and interacting with her, none of that's surprising. But it's always interesting, hearing it from the people that are in the locker room with her every day, going to war with her every day.
Yeah.
So, to kind of continue on, you working on things, right? And one thing that stuck out to me, and early in the season, uh, obviously, the club the players that were here that experienced what happened, last year wanted to improve upon defensively what took place and, be better defensively. Heard a lot about watching more film this year, working with Scott Parkinson more defensively. But I don't remember what open training it was earlier this year, but everyone was done. Everyone was leaving the field. You were still there, and you wanted to work on something, running up along the sidelines with Scott. I was just like fascinated, because again, my tiempos are in my closet. If I ever need to play defense again, they're there. I will not. Way too out of shape for that. But it just
Got
struck to
it.
me that, you're still working there. You're still trying to, improve upon things. So just can you speak a little bit to the, improvement of the defense this year? Obviously, there was that rough stretch with um, Portland and Chicago. Sure, that happens over the course of a year. It would be great to have a clean sheet every single week. But yeah, it's just been such a huge turnaround to see that because I know I mean, at least in the last few years since I've been doing this, have been so strong defensively. Can you just speak a little bit about what you've seen, maybe even your own efforts to turn things around, or how you maybe addressed whatever took place last year? Because I know there's a myriad of things to deal with. It wasn't just strictly soccer on the field that day, right?
Yeah.
Just the turnaround from last year and however you've seen it, where I know there's still games to go, but you know,
Yeah, for sure. I guess speaking to last year, I think we came away from a lot of games feeling like we weren't that far. Like we weren't that far from being a very stout defensive team. And I think like you can credit that nearness to a number of factors. It was probably my first season with the Reign where I was getting consistent minutes as a starter. So like an increased level of pressure there possibly. I think JB was starting. She's very young, was getting to know the tactics of what we were trying to do because she's like an incredible instinctive player. And sometimes our instincts can be our worst enemies. And for her, 99% of the time, it's her biggest asset. So I'm not saying this in a negative way at all, but I think in terms of like cohesion, it's difficult if we're not all on the exact same page to go execute a game plan. And then I think Soph leaving was tough, especially because I did feel like that was a point in the season where we could have caught stride and maybe made a push to make the playoffs. Um, and then injuries and every other factor that always goes into it is obviously ever present and always going to be an issue, but it's something that you can hopefully work around in years like this year. And then I think in terms of like progress from day one of preseason to now for us in terms of like where we've taken things to the next level. I think there's a newfound grittiness about our back line and like a newfound um determination to throw ourselves on the line and make sure that we are an extremely hard team to score on, an extremely hard team to beat. Um, I don't think you can always control the way the game's going to go, but I think that you can control your effort and your attitude. And I think that's something that we've done a really, really good job of doing this year. Um, and then I think the last part of that is I think Claudia's really come into her own this year, and I think she's developed a voice for herself on this team. And I think she's taking a much bigger step into that leadership role and she's demanding more of us. And I think when you have that type of relationship where you can be demanding of each other in not a negative way, in a positive way, it's like, I want you to do this because I know you can do this. It's really empowering and it's really cool to see. And I think it extends beyond just the starting four or five of whatever the back line is on there. I think you see Emily Mason coming into games and making incredible plays. She's a rookie in this league, and you would never know it based on the ways she has saved this team this year. It's truly so cool to watch. She's such a fun story. You should interview her next.
Oh yeah, no, it's always fat. I don't remember what it was, but Laura mentioned her defensively coming in. Yeah, because yeah, we'll see her come in these last few minutes. And that was one of my fun storylines in the beginning of the season was your guys' defensive depth. Because you go down you, Lou, Shay, JB, Emily Mason, get Sofia back, Ryan Brown's coming back at some point. Like it's again, as a defender at heart, this is always very fun to look at. So I'm going to end you off with some more fun things because we've been doing this hard, like reflect on stuff, sort of thing. So if the Rain season notebook notes, match media notes, whatever are accurate, your coffee orders an iced dirty chai. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've been straying away from the chai. I
Hmm.
haven't been, I'm not like a sweet girl, so a chai
Okay.
is like a nice balance for me, but I've really not been wanting sweets lately. So I've just been doing iced Americanos, but a chai isn't exactly wrong.
So for either of those, then with the Americano or the chai, where in the Pacific Northwest have you found the best of those? Because obviously, Seattle it prides itself a lot on the coffee and things like that, right? So is there a best location? Because it's always fun, especially on the Storm side right now. One of their rookies, Mackenzie Holmes, like every walk-in photo, she's got a different cup. And people are like, where is this from? Where is this at?
Yeah.
And it's always interesting to get like, different players go down stand all the time. What coffee places are you going to? Because usually they end up going to like, I don't know, ones people don't like. And I'm like, hey man, I don't make the choices. This is where these people are going. So
For me, it's definitely current. It's Current Coffee in West Seattle on California.
okay.
It is my favorite place in the world. I love all the baristas that work there. Shout out Tyler. He owns it. He is the best and makes the best coffee. And I love it there.
I will have to I've written that down, so I'll have to check that out. And my last one for you with we're gonna end with the Pennsylvania, the Eagles stuff. Okay. Have you been able to go to any of the games around the city? Because obviously Seattle's got so many different teams in addition to you guys.
Yeah.
Where I don't know how much of the Pennsylvania teams that you follow, right? Obviously, I've seen the
Um,
Eagles a few times.
I
So
follow
like,
all of them with the exception of the Flyers from
oh,
the
no, I was gonna ask because the Kraken just released their third jersey today. I was like, anything about the Flyers coming to town? Because it's
not
always
a big
cool seeing.
Flyers. I
No,
was never
is
an
it
ice
hockey or just
girl.
the Flyers?
It was just hockey. My family wasn't a hockey family, but
Interesting.
you can ask me about any of the other ones. Actually, don't ask me about the Sixers. You can ask me about the Phillies and the Eagles.
Well, we need an MNBA team back. It would be great if Philly had or Pennsylvania had a WNBA team.
I'm
Uh,
sure they're making a bid. They have to. You
oh
got
yeah, I'm sure. I was gonna say, is that something, because I'm sure you'd like to see that, because Philly's, I've heard a lot. I have a few friends in Philly, um, and folks here. Oh, I have a gritty here somewhere, actually.
no
I
way.
don't know. Yeah, it's again, not things I thought I'd be speaking to you about this morning, but with the PWHL expanding and the WNBA keep continuing to reach, and I don't know when the NWSL will get there. I know they've got Boston, but I don't think either of us is a big proponent of Boston as a sport. See, I love doing these because so many of you are so very relatable. I'm not surprised, but it's so cool to hear that. So yeah, I guess is there any words you'd have for women's sports expansion in the Pennsylvania area to wrap you up here?
I just do it. Let's get a team out there. Why not? I think the union does awesome. So it would be really fun to have an NWSL team in Philly.
There you go. That's Phoebe McClernon. That's that's Philly, I guess.
It's Philly. Let's go. Go Birds. Thank
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, where are you going to watch all the away games for Seattle Reign FC this year?
For away games. Well, since Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports, I was thinking of coming here if that's okay with you.
I think that makes a lot of sense. See y'all here.
that was our brief chat with Phoebe. It's always really fun to do these, player guests. One, there's nobody else doing them. Two, you know, with pro athletes, you can get, more so on the fan side, right? Because in our job, we see them, every day or pretty consistently, or you talk to them more often. Um, but you do forget they're human, right? And they're very relatable. And, I remember starting that chat with Phoebe, and I had that green shirt on. I don't know why. I've gained a little bit of weight over the last few years, and so I'm more of a large XL than being a medium, and so that's one of the shirts that fits. And so I just threw it on. First thing I hear, oh, he's got his Eagles green on. I'm like, No, no, what is going on here? So I don't know. It was pretty cool. I always loved those chats. Phoebe definitely one of my favorites, and that'll the questions and audio from that will be part of an feature that I'm going to do here pretty soon. So we'll move on here. There's a few pieces of news to continue with G's loan, and then also few Rain players named to the best 11 for this month. Yes, so we'll get to that. First of all, we'll go to some of my training notes. I was at training, open training the other day. I think I should say the day. I don't know if it matters. Um, but yeah, the Rain held their open media training. And I can go to my notes actually. I saved my notes in my phone. From what I saw, oh, not the home app. I don't know what that is. First few on Claudia Dickey, Cassie Miller, who continues to work back from injury, Anthony McCammon, Jordan Bug, and Jordan Heidema. Uh, I think we were a full group. Besides G has been sick all week. Um, so that was something. In addition to the loan, we will talk about the loan. Um, some of the players that are injured, specifically Cassie Miller, Veronica Latsko, Ryan Brown. Obviously, Latsko and Brown are still on season-ending injury. And then Shea Holmes, who's been out the last few weeks. Latsko and Holmes came out later. They're all doing work individually, though, as they return from their respective injuries. So that is something of note. Um, Looked like we were seeing, a group that we've kind of seen regularly the last week or two, um, with, Madison Curry, Jordan Bug, Phoebe McClernon, Sofia Huerta, Sam Meza, Sally Menti, just Fishlock, Emery Adamas, Jordan Heidema, Maddie Darlene. That can obviously change over the course of the week. But that's what saw out there at least. Asked Laura after training, I was like, hey, is there anything that jumped out to you maybe, after seeing the film from the San Diego match? She said, nope, exactly what I thought after the game. We should have scored goals in the first half, which, yeah. Um, yeah, let's see. She's been sick. Um, she hasn't been training. Um, don't think she was gonna fly with the club anyway this upcoming weekend. Here we go. Oh yes, Ryan Brown is in a little bit now with team training, still working back, but in team training that is a progression of sorts. Shay's not quite there yet, nor is Cassie Miller. So, um, asked about what you've seen from Washington, the Spirit, since they played them in May. I think it was the 23rd of May was that match. Um, oh yeah, Laura mentioned, Trin being back. They've got an Italian player in. I think Banal in midfield. Um, so interesting to see how they play, sometimes playing Trinity out wide, sometimes playing a back five, sometimes playing that in the middle, mentioning their fluidness, that have changed over the course of the game. Um, Asked about Phoebe, a quote for Phoebe that we'll work on. Oh, and then the Rain, I believe, posted a video of Laura on the field after the Sounders won their Leagues Cup final on Sunday, and asked her about that. I said, "Hey, what was that experience like?" It was amazing for a lot of reasons. My brother, sister-in-law, and nephew flew up from LA. My nephew didn't know he was going to the game. He's only 6, and we surprised him. Laura told the story. They were outside the stadium. He'd been around so many people in messy shirts and Sounders shirts. Laura was in her Sounders shirt. He had no idea that they were going to the match. So it was cool, mentioned the Sounders hospitality. They were able to get Laura and her family down on the field. He got to meet David Beckham, which was really cool. And she said, I don't know if my brother or my nephew is more excited about David Beckham. So that was really fun. I enjoyed closing it out on that note. So yeah, those are training notes from this past week. We'll look to the G loan now as we get to the last few things of this episode. Um, this morning at 7:07 a.m., the Reign announced that the club's loaned midfielder Ji So-yun to Birmingham City. Um, yeah, Birmingham City of the Barclays Women's Super League 2 through the end of this year for an agreed upon fee. Uh, yeah, so through the end of 2025. Reminder that G's contract runs through the end of 2025. Um, so it's interesting. It's certainly interesting. This was something that, yeah, I woke up to. I said, "Oh, what's this email that I've got on my phone? Oh, she's gone." Um, we talk about Bella and I have talked so much about the depth of the squad, right? The depth of the Reign, and how great. Excuse me. Sorry, goodness, how great that's been. This is unfortunately, I think part of that where players might be unhappy with their minutes. Um, he transferred from Suwon FC and signed with the Reign ahead of the 2024 year. Since made 31 starts and 39 appearances, 5 goals and 5 assists. She's contributed 2 goals and 2 assists in 13 games this year. She led the club last year with 6 combined goals and assists and 32 shots after appearing in all 26 matches. She's obviously a legend of Korea football. She's been named the Korean Football Association Female Player of the Year a record 8 times, most recently last year. Um, so yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens here. Um, I'm not totally leaving out if she'll be back or not, but you have to think it's maybe doubtful. Um, considering the again, talk about the depth, right? Some of that depth. Um, And, look at the quote here from General Manager Leslie Galmore. We have a great respect for G and the impact she's made at our club as a veteran of her sport. This move reflects her desire to play consistent minutes in a competitive environment. Makes sense. And we're confident she will continue to showcase her quality at Birmingham City. So, just looking at the match log here, 64 minutes against Houston, and then from there between the Utah match and Houston, it is kind of sporadic. She didn't play a minute against Chicago. She played 12 minutes against Portland, a half against Angel City, a half against Chicago before the Utah match, no minutes against San Diego on that one, 16 against the Spirit, 0 against Louisville, 57 against Houston. After being pretty consistently involved throughout the first half of the season here, the first chunk, 89 against Gotham, 79 against North Carolina, 90 against Angel City, just 25 against Portland in that first match, 74 against Bay FC, and 84 against Kansas City. So it's tough because G's obviously been a lot of fun. If you've seen the mic'd ups they've done, if you've seen excuse me, um, if you've seen just how she's interacted with her teammates, they love G, so it's tough in that regard, certainly. Um, but it'll be really fascinating to see what the decision is here. Obviously, again, we go back to the depth. We'll talk about the depth consistently in the midfield with this squad. Um, let's see here. You know, you've got oh yeah, this the midfield keeps going down. Okay, you've got Ainsley McCammon who can play in the midfield. has Angerat James Turner, Sally Menti, Sam Meza. Maddie Darlene can play, technically in the midfield, but usually out wide. Jess Fishlock, Nerly Amandas here can play in the midfield. Um, Maddie Mercado can play midfield or forward. At times they've kind of played Lynn Biondolo as a midfielder. So yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. I'm not gonna at all, sugarcoat it. It's difficult because G was, I'd say your most exciting player this past year. Um, and obviously means a lot to this club, but someone wants to play, they want to play. And the Reign has been very good about, hey, we're not going to stop that. We are going to give you the opportunity to go out and, you know, find as said here in the press release, a competitive environment. So it's tough, but hey, I will always look if this is the end, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I will look back fondly at G's time in the midfield for the Reign. So, um, continue on here to the last piece of news before we look ahead to San Diego. Two Reign players were named the NWSL Best 11 of the month for the month of August. Club original Jess Fishlock and veteran defender Sofia Huerta both earned those performances. It's the ninth selection of the career for Jess and the eighth for Sofia. Um, Jess during this time tallied her 46th career goal and 30th career NWSL assist during the month, bagging 3 goals, adding assists for 4 total goal contributions, while logging 290 minutes across 5 matches. Yeah, Jess has been great since coming back from Wales, helping secure 6 points and climb to fifth place in the league standings. Sofia returns on the 24th of August. She became the league's all-time leader in assists with her 32nd career assist against Houston. She earned assist of the week for the record-breaking play. In just her first month back since returning from loan with Olympic Lyonnais. Huerta has, been pretty strong on the back line and played every minute of all 5 games in August to help earn 2 shutouts and secure points in 4 matches. So that's pretty cool. Fishlock and Huerta are among just 4 players in league history to record at least 30 goals and 30 assists in regular season play. Uh, Pretty good. You've got some pretty good talent, pretty good knowledge and history on this club. So, that is cool to see there. We will finish this game. I almost said game. Finish this episode out, looking ahead for the club here. Yes, this upcoming weekend on that Sunday is the 7th? Yes, Sunday, September 7th, they will play at the Washington Spirit, 1 o'clock start time, 1 o'clock Pacific time start time at the Spirit. They're doing this road home, road home, road home thing. Um, you know, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. Yeah, they'll do that until October 10th and 17th when they play Bay at home and Utah at home. Back to back. Excuse me. Yeah, that match will be broadcast live on Fox 13, NWSL Plus, and Paramount Plus against the second-seeded Washington Spirit, who sit 5 points ahead of the Reign. In the previous, they've been on quite the tear lately. In their let's see, last 3, 2, 4. Wait, sorry. Ugh, they've only lost 1 match dating back to May 10th. That includes their CONCACAF W Champions Cup run that they're currently in, which they're doing really well in. Um, but yeah, they've only lost once, dating back to May 10th, and that includes a win over the Reign back on May 23rd, a 2-1 victory over the Reign at Lumen Field. This was the Shea Holmes' first career goal match. Croy Bethune scores in the 11th minute. Shea scores in the 17th to tie it up. Ashley Hatch's goal in the 35th minute ultimately is the one that puts Washington ahead, and the Reign aren't able to, get one back. So it'll be interesting. Yeah, they are a very good team, and they are in very good form right now. So this is a very big test for the Reign, against a top club. Uh, against the top club, and additionally, uh, if they want to keep climbing the standings. So until we see you next week, take care of yourselves, be well, do whatever you can to make today a great day.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, where are you going to watch all the away games for Seattle Reign FC this year?
Away games. Well, since Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports, I was thinking of coming here if that's okay with you.
I think that makes a lot of sense. See y'all here.